universe that you can always use to benefit your children, benefit yourself. And resulting from last weekend's talk, there is a public demand on telephone that I repeat some of those. But before I do that, as a teacher, I have a lot of parent instinct for children. And I want to caution the parents that there are bilharzia diseases that are starting to be very prevalent, and there are also worms that are in the children. So children are starting to be sick and they cannot attend school very well. Case in point is in Mumias West, where one child had worms equivalent to a small basin removed from the stomach, and this caused the death of that child. I don't want this to happen, because when as a teacher I see a child suffering or a child dying, I really feel like a parent. So let us always keep cleanliness as usual, so that our children are there for us to teach them. Okay, now let's go for today. I was talking about the soul circle last weekend, and a lot of phone calls have come in through showing interest and asking that I repeat some of those. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but I'm going to give you the information that I think is enough for you. The soul cycle is a soul that runs on the numbers of March 22nd all the way around to March 21st. It is a cycle that goes for 365 days. A full year. And it starts on March 22nd. It almost coincides with the sun on the equator. And so this is the one that controls the careers of children, the careers of adults, businesses that one can do successfully in life. So that you don't just plunge into any business that may not be harmonizing with your rhythm. So I'll give you the periodicity of those 7 periods. Each period is 52 days. And if you have your pen there, because I want to move fast, I don't want to write. The period 1 of the soul cycle begins on 22nd March and ends on 12th May. The period 2 of the soul cycle begins on May 13th and ends on July 3rd. The period 3 of the soul cycle begins on July 4th and ends on August 24th. And the period 4 of the soul cycle begins on 25th August and ends on October 15th. All these are numbers that are governing the universe. The period number 5 begins on October 16th and ends December 6th. And the period number 6 begins on December 7th and ends on January 27th. And the last period of the soul cycle, period number 7, begins on January 28th and ends on March 21st, just before the next cycle begins. Now, in all these periods, there are influences that you can be influenced by to succeed or to fail, depending on how you harmonize with this rhythm. So I'm going to single out the period number 5 and just talk about it a little. Period number 5 is the period that begins October 16th and ends on December 7th. So those who are born between October 16th and December 6th, December 6th, will have the following influences. And these are things that were studied by the ancients. The ancients were geniuses, and ancients had a very close connection with God. And so the revelations then were very genuine and clear. So they managed to get these kind of things from the universe. Now, let us see what period 5 people are. I will read from this small book, The Universe and Man. Persons born in this period between October 16th and December 6th are generally those who attain great success and fame in their particular callings. Although this success may not always be measured in worldly things or in financial way, they don't have to be necessarily millionaires, but they are successful. These persons carry over from past incarnations one lesson which they have learned well, and which becomes the keynote of their inner secret natures. And this is that as one gives and does for others, so one attains and succeeds in life. So the art of giving is not limited to religions as we are made to think. Fungu la kumi, fungu la kumi. It is right from the ancient, and it is in the rhythm of the soul circle. And these people born in period 5 of the soul circle understand that clearly. They are givers because they understand as one gives, so he receives. So check out if you are born in that period. You know you are supposed to be a giver, and the more you give is the more you receive. Therefore, these persons are fundamentally generous, good-natured, kindly, and often free in their actions and lives to such an extent that their own success and progress seems to be nil from a material point of view. And for this reason, they are often misjudged as failures in life. You might misjudge these people as being failures in life, and yet in the real sense, these people are not failures, because their success may not necessarily be material success. On the other hand, they do acquire an unusual amount of knowledge, a great deal of culture, and polish, and extreme amount of happiness and pleasure, and with all are comfortable and satisfied with their lot in life. These are people who are content. These are people who do not see somebody's Mercedes-Benz and go back home to force the husband or the wife that you must buy that Mercedes, like I saw Joseph with. These are people who are content with their lot in life. They do not admire other people's success. They are content with their lot. The period 5 of the soul circle. Now, in every crisis, the cosmic comes to their rescue and brings about satisfactory conditions. You see, these are the people you will see in a big crisis, but before you know, the crisis is over and you don't know how it went over. That is because the cosmic has something to always come to their rescue. So you keep wondering, how did he escape that? And yet, it is the cosmic that has come to their rescue. These are people, examples, who have nasty air crashes, and still the cosmic comes and rescues this person. And you start wondering, how could he survive such an air crash? It's because whenever there is a crisis, the cosmic comes to their rescue. So those are the people in period 5 of the soul cycle. This, however, does not prevent them from seeking greater things and a greater abundance of life's blessings. They'll continue also seeking these other blessings. They are philosophically inclined through the lessons they have learned in the past and believe that they should give thanks every morning for life itself and never complain if they have the least of the worldly blessings, for they realize that they have in their knowledge and in their mystical powers a greater asset than most other human beings, and for this reason they are eternally thankful. If you see a person and you want to know whether he's a period 5 fellow, even if you don't know any was bad, this is a person who is perpetually thankful, even on the smallest thing. Thank you very much. This is the person who is always on his or her knees, thanking God for whatever there was of the day. In their nature, they are thankful. They give gratitude all the time. And that is what religions are teaching, but it was there inherent long before any religion was formed. For they realize that they have in their knowledge and in their mystical powers a greater asset than most human beings, and for this reason they are eternally grateful. These persons also bring into this life from the cosmic, through the vibrations of the period in which they were born, an unusually philosophical nature accompanied by or with the ability to acquire languages and understand the spiritual and natural laws of the universe to an unusual degree. So these are the people who understand the universe very, very well. They know the mystical laws. They are spiritual in their making. I'm sure if you study those devoted priests, bishops, nuns, and so on, you find that most of them are born in this period because that is their calling. This makes it simple to acquire and master the principles of harmony in the art of music, writing, and even in chemistry. So they can also do music. They can also do a lot of art. And when the subject of chemistry comes, they can do very well. What is that saying? It is saying that if this person is a chemist, expert, then he can do well in medicine research and so on. So you can see where this fellow can be. Being capable, therefore, of expressing themselves in so many different ways, these persons are really in possession of more hobbies throughout life than those born in any other period. So these are the jack of all trade. They can fit there, they can fit there, they can fit there. These are people who fit anywhere. Whenever they seek relaxation or a change from occupation, they can turn their hands to music or to mechanics or to art or to the sciences and dabble in any one of these things to a greater degree than almost borders upon professional expertise. These are people, even if they have not gone to any college of art, they look at you and draw you just the way you look. They are really experts in art. These are the people, when they compose music, and then you can hear that somebody is singing something. They are musicians. So, if you, the parent, knew that this was the calling of your child, you would start training your child towards that direction long before the child becomes an adult. And that is to say, the parents who are still young and bringing up children should understand the calling of their children. When you look at countries like China, you see a small child playing with the radio and making the radio talk. It can make a small cell phone at a very early age. And this is because the people in the Orient understand that there is a calling, that every child has a calling. And so they start initiating the children in that particular calling at a very early age. In the Occidental world, like in America and so on, they are also starting to discover that children have a calling. And so after just a few classes, they start separating the children, the sciences, the artists, and so on. And as they advance on, they take particular fields of endeavor, and they do very well in them. And this because they understand the mystical knowledge. And I've always asked, do you always wonder why all prophets of God are in the Orient, in the East? Have you ever wondered? There's none in the West. There's none in Africa. They're just around in the East. And these esoteric sciences are well developed in Asia. The Asian countries are well developed in these sciences. They are able to handle even diseases without a single medicine, because they understand the vibrations of the body. They know which part of the body to touch so that it can rejuvenate the ailing part. All this knowledge, we still have to find it, but they already have it. So, it's because of this knowledge, them being close to their God in the past, they got a lot of esoteric knowledge which they are using above us. We people are quite materialistic. So let's proceed. For this reason, they may enter into various occupations in their youth and change often as they go through life. These are people who will work here today, tomorrow they are there, the other day they are there, and they are still successful wherever they are going. And I know of one person very close to me who is this kind of person. this person starts as a very, very junior fellow, in fact selling vegetable seedlings. And this person continues on to do menial jobs like crushing jaggery in the rollers that they do. And he changes from place to place until today the person is in a very, very senior position. And I know him for a great giver. I know him because he has grown, as I'm seeing, and I know his date of birth, and I know he's in this period 5 of the soul circle. Can move from one place to one place and still succeed very well. And these people are attainers of knowledge. Let's see. They finally get into a position where their complex abilities can be used one by one throughout the weeks and months, and thereby hold unique positions which other persons could not fill. Fundamentally, there is a great love for animals. These are the farmers. Get this person a few animals and he will develop them into more animals, because that is his calling. He is a farmer and he has a lot of love for animals. This is a guy who will see a dog knocked on the road and would stop, pick the dog, go and bury it somewhere, and then continue without caring whose dog it was, just because of the love for animals. And then he harmonizes with the animal rhythms and he becomes very, very successful in animal farming. So parents, watch out. If your child is one of them, help him. So these fellows are good for outdoor sports and for nature itself. They are open, frank, and honest, and cheerful, and deplore deceit and underhandedness. Don't deceive them, they will not deceive you. They have carried over with them a very high degree of mystical development and of religious and spiritual attunement. This same person I know is so religious, he happens to be a Muslim, he doesn't miss a prayer. He's so religious that he doesn't understand how a day could pass without bowing down to worship his Maker. That's just a case in point. Now, because here we are not calling names of people, we are just describing their callings, and you can judge for yourself. Don't ask me who that person is. And this person are always thrown into deep spells of spiritual meditation that others may look upon as despondency. They seem to sense the sufferings of the world as well as the pleasure of the world. These persons would make excellent directors of organizations where they are concerned with the scope of large plans and things of national, international importance, rather than the smaller details of executive management. Excuse me. They are capable of planning great schemes and carrying them out successfully. These are the people you should give the dams to build, the rice schemes in the country to build. They'll carry them out successfully. These are the people you say, we must stop the floods. And they will carry out that plan so successfully. They'll put all the dikes that are required and everything so successfully. We just don't pick anybody to go and do that job. There are people who have a calling for it. And these are people in the period 5 of the soul circle. They should be taken down to Bunyala. They should go down to Ahero, Rice Schemes, Nyando. These are the people that will do the job. Okay, let's get on. I said they are capable of planning great schemes and carrying them out successfully. And for this reason, they may enter into professions of advertising, writing, planning, sales, organizations, work, or the control of management of schools, colleges, and universities. So you are looking for a vice chancellor of a college, of a university. Give to this person. Of course, there are people with credentials, people trained to do the job. After you have seen their certificates, go a little step further and look at their dates of birth. You find one that is born in period 5 of the soul circle. That's the person that will raise up that university, and there will be no complaint at all. You find this person in that polarity, that's the person you will give as a governor of some county, so that people are not being swindled to go for education anywhere. These are honest people, and they succeed in whatever they do, and they can handle large organizations. Now, in business methods, however, their generosities, their charity, and liberal natures does not bring them personal fortune nor help to build up the financial end of their plans, but it does bring success in every other direction, which eventually leads to financial success. You know, they might have a tendency to give until they are not able to accumulate enough to call them very, very successful. But at the end of the day, they again succeed. We are up to find these persons in positions of judges, senators, lawyers, priests, doctors of law, professors in universities, newspaper editors, or magazine editors, or conductors of shops or places of antiques, or dealers in the arcane and mystical things of life. These are these people. Period 5 of the soul circle. The period starting from 22nd March and ending on 21st March of the following year. Now, in physical weaknesses, the most common manifestation is in connection with inflammation of various parts of the body through colds or overwork, accompanied by conditions of blood due to overeating or irregular eating or eating of rich foods, and also skin diseases, rheumatic conditions, quinsy, and apoplexy are general conditions found with these persons. So you are one of them, or your child is one of them. So here is where to watch that this child is prone to these things here. And so you must take care to avoid conditions that will bring them about. So these persons will find great joy and happiness in journeying through or visiting Babylon. They will find joy in Persia, in Egypt, in Palestine, and the strange byways of the Orient, where they may come in contact with ancient familiarities especially in Egypt, China, and Japan. So when you look at a country like Egypt, and you look at the pyramids, you know, even science is still marveling today how the ancients would raise a stone so many tons up high there, and they did not have cranes at that time. It's just because they understood the esoteric knowledge. They knew what vibrations could be done to shake a certain thing or to lift a certain thing. You hear of the wall of Jericho, which is just came down trembling by the vibrations of the walking around the walls. These Orients are very fast in arcane knowledge. And if I were you, I would seek the normal knowledge that we get in school, and then go and look for esoteric knowledge, the knowledge that has to do with the powers of God. And the mistake that we make is for many of our religions, including mine, to think that there is Satan. A belief in Satan is a belief in somebody more or equally strong as God. So that when God is working on this way, Satan is working on this way. They are pulling a tug of war. And sometimes Satan is winning, and sometimes God is winning. That is underrating the Almighty God. He would not be almighty if Satan would be able to win even a single time. The esoteric knowledge is that God has created everything in duality. There are the positives and there are the negatives. They coexist. And that you have the free will to choose. You can choose to do what is positive, or you can choose to do what is negative. All these are the laws existing in nature, and they were created by God right from the time He created the world. So a belief that there's somebody who can also win God is a pagan belief. And I apologize for the religions that do that. It is just your free will. You are choosing to do something in the opposite. You are supposed to do what we call good here, and you decide to do bad here. Satan is nowhere there. It's your own free will to choose. And that's why you will find yourself many times you have chosen to do this thing, and at the same time you have said, no, that's wrong. I cannot do that. So it's your free will that is leading you through the universe. And it's your free will that leads you to choosing to follow the path that is the right thing. Sometimes when I hear Islamic pray, and they pray that lead us in straight paths, the paths of those that you led, and not those ones that were breakers of your laws. Yeah? It is, I think, in the Surah Al-Fatah. Ihdina sirata al-mustaqima, sirata al-ladina anamta alayhim. That path that you led those who succeeded, those, you can interpret it much better. The sheikhs would know that. So the ancients have those people who were on straight paths, who understood what God wanted and who followed what God wanted. And what did God want? His laws to be followed. And he himself said, there is time for everything. So a timetable is a big thing in God's scheme of things. So that at this time you can do this time you can do this time you can do this. There's time for everything. If you still don't know where to find it, go in your scriptures. The Bible will give you in the Ecclesiastic 3, I think, 1 to 8. Read those 8 verses. You will see time for everything. There are seasons we see for planting, seasons for harvesting. All this, yeah? And it is important that you understand the calling. Your calling. So, some people have asked me, I keep referring to that in their previous incarnation, they were this and that. In their previous incarnation, they were this and this. This is contradictory, all right, but the doctrine of reincarnation defends itself. That we live again. You see, what the ancients did was to rename a person. So-and-so has died, but then this is so-and-so again, a new one. They believed that people don't die, that people live again. The great philosophers like Old Lama said that we live again. And if you want to see it, it's in the Bible that Jesus dies and is buried, and on the third day, he resurrects. He comes back. And that's not enough. The Bible still goes further to say that Jesus will still come back. And there, the Bible is supported by the Quran. These are what metaphysicists and mystics are calling reincarnation. You have seen children who are born much brighter than their old parents and so on. These children are interpreted to be living more incarnations than their own parents. Therefore, they have seen more than what their parents have seen. And for us, we just say, oh, this is a genius. This is a genius. Yes, he's a genius, but do we know the origin of this geniusness? So, that is the mathematics of the universe. And you are not obliged to follow it. Nobody forces you. What I can only tell you is that seeking knowledge is a must for everybody. And good knowledge and bad knowledge are all important. Because if you don't know that that thing is bad, you will continue doing it because you have no knowledge that it is bad. So know what knowledge is bad, know what knowledge is good, and choose what knowledge you want to follow. All the time knowing that the terms good and bad are relative terms. They are not absolute terms. They all depend on who is talking about it. You take some British who is not a Muslim, and And he'll tell you that pork is the best meat we can find. And then you go to an Arab who is a Muslim, and straight away he tells you that's haram. So one thing, two interpretations. One of them cherishing it as the best delicious meat he has ever eaten, and another one saying it's totally haram. So the terms good and bad are relative terms. They are not absolute terms, and it depends on who is interpreting and the situation under which he is interpreting. But seek knowledge. So parents, when you want to get this book for further knowledge, and you should get this book, the small book, The Universal Man, call me on telephone number 0721 901 429. Telephone number 0721 901 429. It will be a big asset in your library at home. And without then forgetting my students, we still have books for mathematics intact. Parents are continuing to buy them. For primary, there is CBC, Primary Mathematics Revision, and there is the 21st Century Mathematics Formula. Very good books for primary, and they take you up to grade 9 before you change into high school mathematics. For high school, we have notes for mathematics. From 1 mathematics notes, from 2 mathematics notes, from 3 mathematics notes, and from 4 mathematics notes. Apart from that, we have the high school mathematics formula, which is very, very important for high school. And then we have general mathematics revision books. Parents, don't let your children fail. We have all these facilities. All you need is to call me on the telephone number 0721 901 429. 0721 901 429. Until next weekend, it's bye-bye from Dr. Kunda.